Welcome back to this special episode of Holy Land Uncovered at the Israel Museum. I am very pleased to be joined by Joya Perugia, the collection manager of the Mendel Wing of Jewish Art and Life here at the museum. Hello and welcome.
Thank you very much.
So tell us about this synagogue that we are standing in. It's a real synagogue from Italy.
Yes, this is, first of all, I would like to say this is one of the 4 synagogues that are in the museum from 3 different continents, 4 different countries. This one is from Vittorio, Veneto, from northern Italy. Veneto, it's the region. So it is about 80 kilometers from Venice. And it is original reconstructed synagogue that was brought here since when the museum was inaugurated in 1965. And actually what is really is important here, when the museum was planned, this synagogue was part of the planning of the space, was part of the planning of the museum, and therefore what we see here reflects very, very much the original museum in Vittorio, Veneto.
Wow, wow.
It is from the 17th century, the early 17th century, and it is, you know, you can see we feel like in a very nice Baroque living room. It is very much, you know, lavish and decorated with all this gold carved wood, and all these decorations give us really the feeling that we are in
stepping back in time, and we're there.
Exactly.
We're there. It really is quite beautiful. And I know that, you know, part of what is so notable is the, you know, the involvement of women in the Bet Knesset during this era. I know that there's upstairs is a women's section.
Yes.
So explain what's notable about the role of women, you know, in Italy during this era.
Okay. First of all, yes, the women's gallery here is in a very peculiar shape. You know, you can see upstairs, it runs along the 4 walls of the synagogue, and it has these wood partitions that can be open and closed. And what we think is that the women gallery was influenced by the creation of theaters in Venice. Venice were, you know, created the first closed-built theaters, both in wood before and then in stone. And women that were upstairs felt really like spectators looking to a theatrical performance. The only difference is in a theater there are 3 sides looking for the stage, and here there is even a 4th side, you know, above the Torah ark. Wow. And there is a very nice description of the 16th century of an English traveler that visited Venice and the ghetto, you know, the Jewish neighborhood, and went to the synagogue. Was very much surprised looking at these women who were very elegant with all their jewelry that came to the synagogue. Even said that were the most beautiful women he had ever saw. So Jewish women, they also have, I mean, although they were separated in the synagogue, but they had a special role in preparing textile embroidered objects.
Very interesting.
Yes.
What is so unique also about the even the diversity of the synagogues during the Renaissance and Baroque era in Italy? I mean, you go to the Venice ghetto, I've been there. Each one is styled so uniquely different. It's almost like each synagogue was a piece of art.
Yes, they are a piece of art. I think that you can feel that they belong to the same world. I mean, even this one is part of the Venetian environment. They were inspired by the surrounding architecture, by the surrounding style. So here, yes, you feel that it's a Baroque style. I mean, the artists, the artisans that made the synagogues, the carpenters, they were not Jewish. I mean, they were the same carpenters or craftsmen that prepared other things. You know, they worked for the churches, in private houses. So the style is very much reflects the style,
right.
the local style.
And even today it's so interesting because, you know, all of what's so unique about this region, even Venice, you have history of the families of Murano glass, and it seems that even today, the same families have kind of kept the traditions of these trades.
Yes.
And I guess that's one of the reasons why Italy is still, you know, so fashionable, and
yes,
no one can
course.
say that Italy doesn't have style and taste.
Also, I think that what is really amazing. I mean, we see here this the interior of this synagogue. You see the Torah ark on one side, and the Torah desk on the other. The worshippers that were on both sides. It was a very small community. You can imagine no more than 80 people. But it's amazing to think that from the outside, I've even been in Vittorio, Veneto. A few years ago, you can't distinguish that there was a synagogue. It was in a completely normal building on the second and third floor, and from outside you couldn't even imagine that there was such, you know, beautiful synagogues inside. And the reason is also because Jews did want to protect themselves, you know, from the surroundings, and also according to the local laws, with you know, the synagogues couldn't, until the emancipation, many times they were not seenable from the outside.
Right.
For the local laws.
Yeah. Explain just quickly before we go, you know, a little bit of the you know, also the history of Italy. You know, Italy has its own unique history and relationship, you know, with the Jewish people.
Yes.
You know, you hear a lot about the B'nai Anasim, the conversos that came from Spain, but that continue to, you know, keep the Jewish traditions at home. A lot of people were studying Kabbalah. The Mantua Zohar was printed there. So, you know, explain you know, what's unique about how the Jewish people, you know, were part of the community, even with Christians.
I mean, first of all, the Italian Jewish community, it's one of the oldest in the world. The origins are from the Second Temple period and even before. But the famous, you know, Titus Arch, where you see that the soldiers, you know, have carrying the menorah, and behind them there are you know, the Jews that were brought as slaves and then liberated when they were in Rome. So many families are originated in that period, and that's why also Italian Jews, when you say, you know, when they ask me, you know, are you Ashkenazi or Sephardi? No, I'm Italian. There is a special Italian rite called Minhag Bnei Sonos Rome, or Italian rite. And even in Israel, in Jerusalem, there is a synagogue, an Italian synagogue, still they pray according to this rite, of course in Italy. And then little by little, there were waves, you know, of Jews that came from Spain, from Germany. So of course there are also Ashkenazi and Sephardi Jews. But this synagogue, for example, is Ashkenazi. They came from Northern Europe, and usually when Jews came in these small towns, they were, first of all, bank lenders, and then little by little, you know, the community grew around them. And Jews, you know, had up and down in Italy. Of course, they were, you know, very high cultural periods and very prolific, but we cannot even forget that the first ghetto in the world was established in Venice in 1516, and in Rome in 1555. And until the emancipation, you know, that started with Napoleon, you know, by the end of the 18th century, Jews lived in a neighborhood and were forced to live in a close neighborhood. Of course, there were a lot of contacts with the neighbors, but they were obliged in most of the place to live in a concentrated area. Even in Vittorio, Veneto, there were, as I told you, no more than 80 Jews. There were like 1 or 2 streets where Jews were obliged to live together. It was called the Street of the Jews, not a neighborhood, but it was
the Street of the Jews. Getting back to what you were saying about Rome, I found this very interesting, and I know you told me before that, you know, your family, you know, believes you've grown up on this story that your family even goes back that far. It's so interesting to think, you know, that to actually have a link dating back you know, that many years
yes.
and that many centuries is a very interesting
Yes,
way to
it
grow
is.
up, to actually know your history a little
Yes,
bit. You
yes,
know?
yes. We always were very proud, I would say, of this very rooted history in Rome. I mean, I think that really Roman Jews are the most Roman citizens in the town, because really they are very much, you know, rooted in the city. And there is even, I mean, not only in Rome, and in many towns in Italy, Jews had a special also language, you know.
Wow, Gioia, it was such a joy. Thank you so much for this very, very insightful interview. Very nice to meet you.
It was nice to meeting you.
Thank you for your hospitality.